Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 10th, 2022. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by Life Wallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, the first thing I want to do, the time is now for me to clear the record because I got to clear the record on this whole Life Wallet, NIL, everything that's been going on. We've been writing about it. People are emotional about it. They're misinterpreting things. Some guy, one of our viewers and posters today, puts out on Twitter that Gary Furman says that the University of Miami is concerned that John Ruiz is not going to pay his bills to players. That is absolutely not the truth. Listen, if I have an opinion, it's going to be in one of my columns, and it's going to be on our message boards, or it's going to be on this show. So please, guys, hopefully, like if you see somebody saying I said something on Twitter, if you didn't hear me say it in one of those three vehicles, I'm being misrepresented, and I really don't want to be misrepresented on this because it's an important story. And the bottom line is the NCAA yesterday basically re-released its rules. Okay, it was a big to-do. They had meetings all weekend, like I wrote about. They basically re-released their rules on Monday. So for what it's worth, from our perspective, John Ruiz has put a great effort in to make sure he follows the rules. I have not seen any indications that he has broken any of them. I think his NIL program is a prototype for other schools around the country. And as long as it keeps marching forward the way it is right now, then everything's great. And there's no issues and no problems. And I don't see any problems. And I don't hear anybody at the university thinking for 1 second that it's not going to continue marching forward the way it has for the past few months. Okay. So I just want to set the record clear on that. All right. The news of the day, Matt, I think that we should spend a little bit of time. We've got a column on the website by you today talking about the effort that is going into recruiting. And yes, it is at a whole other level than what we have been seeing for the past several years. And time will tell, Matt, what the results of it are going to be. But you got to start at a certain place. And right now that place is recruiting the majority of the top players in the country.
Yeah. And I'll add, listen, I don't know how people misconstrued what you said. You've been very, very transparent about Mr. Ruiz. And for myself, I
think this particular poster was reading my response. Somebody posted on our message board that he didn't understand why John Ruiz had detractors because he's doing great things for Miami football and Miami athletics. And people have been saying for years that they wanted to see a booster step forward or fans step forward financially and support the program. And he's doing that right now. He's carrying the Miami athletic department. So the poster was commenting on that. And I said, I think the detractors are anticipating that he's going to default on payments, and then that is going to be a colossal problem for Miami athletics and Miami football. And if John Ruiz did default on payments, it would be a big problem. But I wasn't saying that people were concerned that he's going to default on payments. Everything is processed electronically. The players have been getting their money to this point. There's no issues. So, I didn't like that my name was thrown into it with false information. I take that very seriously. I appreciate that the viewer and poster deleted it from Twitter.
Good. Well, yeah, what I was trying to say was you're not the only one who gets misconstrued because I've shared my candid thoughts on John Ruiz. I'm never going to lie to anybody about it. But the truth is, and I've said it numerous times, I'll say it one more time so people out there seem to not understand this. What he's doing for Miami right now is great for Miami student athletes. Like, he's helping student athletes. He's getting players to come to Miami that otherwise may not come to Miami also. So, like, where's the negative in that? What people get mixed up about is that, and it's not about John Ruiz, it's about the NCAA. because we know they have it out for Miami, and maybe people think that's why I'm so negative. Like, that's my concern is I don't know what the next step is going to be. He's front and center and he's very public about it, which I've said that's not my style, but it's his style. It's fine. And like, that's my concern is there going to be another shoe that drops from the NCAA? Like that's a big question. So, I've been very clear with what I'm saying, but people seem to only pick up on the little negative stuff that you say, that I say, and they turn into something else. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, let's talk.
You know what's hysterical, and then we'll get back to your column. Like, the coaches in college football who have cheated like crazy for years are like having opinions on all of this because they're rattled that now they don't have exclusivity in terms of getting players to, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it is the funniest damn thing. And, I get that the NCAA is trying to keep their power and their piece in the puzzle and the whole thing. But I mean, this has been pure comedy.
Like I said also, and this is another reason people think I'm negative, it's going to be a bidding war. This is not John Ruiz's fault. This is just part of what NIL is now. Like I said yesterday, every top prospect's going to go in the portal. Like, the way it is now, why wouldn't you? I would tell my child, if he had a good season, go in the portal, see what you're worth everywhere else. Like, why not? I mean, it's free agency on steroids. So that's another reason people think I don't know. Maybe that's why people are misconstruing what I'm saying also. They misconstrue what you said, like, whatever. But anyway, yeah, so listen, the bottom line, and it does, I just gave it a throwaway line in the column this morning on the website about recruiting, about how NIL affects recruiting, because really it's out of the coach's control. The universities cannot be involved right now with the way the NCAA set it up at all with NIL, other than to basically tell their student athletes, here's what NIL is, and here's what you're allowed to do, and that's about it. They got to go on their own and get their deals, sign their deals. I guess the university does at the end of the day have a compliance office that'll sign off on the deals, but it's really in the student, the agent, and the company's hands, all of it, except for that. So anyway, that's just a throwaway line today, but it does affect recruiting, and it will affect recruiting. But with that said, what I focused on in the column this morning is how recruiting is different under Mario Cristobal, because now we've got a pretty good sense of it, right? He's been here, 6 months, and you get a sense for what he's trying to do. You can sort of see it clearer now because, as I say in the beginning of the article, I mean, every coach that's ever been here, you have January junior days, which he called Elite Prospect Day. You have a dead period all of February, and then in March and April, you have student athletes coming on campus for spring practice, to watch practice, take visits, and then the coaches go on the road, this time of year. So for spring evaluations, every staff does it. So for those of you that want to read the column this morning, what I point out is how it's different now in those cycles and how Mario Cristobal is handling it versus really I'm not bad-mouthing Manny Diaz. It's not just Manny Diaz. Even Mark Richt's staff, even the Randy Shannon staff, even the Al Golden staff, they didn't do it this way. So Manny Diaz came to the realization at some point in his tenure that decommitments were bad for the University of Miami, and he was right. It's not good publicity for anybody to have a recruit decommit in November, in September, and whenever. It's just not good. Like, other recruits will be like, well, why is he decommitting? What's wrong with that program that he's decommitting? So I understand that. But as a side effect of that, he set up the rule where if you commit, that's it, you're done, no visits, blah, 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 which is fine too, in a sense. But he also stopped recruiting those guys that were national recruits that he basically heard the whispers, which we hear about guys like Brandon Innes and others, that they're not coming to Miami. He'd hear those whispers, and he'd just stop recruiting the kid because he didn't want A, to spend his energy on that, or have his coach spend his energy on that, and B, have a kid commit potentially if they chase him real hard, only to decommit when some booster at Tennessee. No, I'm just kidding. when he just goes somewhere else. So that was a problem. And anybody can look at this. This isn't exclusive to my article, but 7 out of the top 10 recruits that are rated by Rivals.com aren't just being recruited hard by Miami, but have serious reciprocal interest. And I can't remember, and I've covered the team since Butch Davis. Really, I was there as an intern with you in Butch Davis years, and then came back in 2001. But I can't remember, recruiting wasn't so big in the Butch Davis days like this. I think Rivals just sort of started in the early 2000s anyway.
Yeah, it was different.
I can't remember. I guess maybe it's just because I have short-term memory, long-term memory problems. But I don't remember 7 out of the top 10 recruits being in a situation, especially with a program that's had one 10-win season in 19 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're in the game with a lot of great players, and no, there's no guarantees that they're going to get them. You know, I do think that they'll get some of them, but if you look at like the top 10, there's a lot of things working against Miami in most of those. So, like, I don't think you're going to be able to judge it by the top 10 recruits. But in terms of the top players around the country, top players in the state of Florida, they're in the game. And some people are concerned, Matt, that there's not commitments yet. But if you
that's a good thing. Read the story, because that's a good thing. They used to take commitments from 2-star and 3-star projects right now.
They're not doing that anymore. They're sitting in there battling it out.
That's what they should be doing. They don't need numbers this year anyway. They need top talent this year, period. You don't need numbers, man. Their roster's full. They're not losing anybody.
They're proving that they can do great things in the transfer portal. So high school recruiting, if you're not getting an elite kid, then there's no point in signing them. But the thing I was going to say
recruiting is so different because of that now. So different. You don't take projects anymore. You don't need to.
Don't need to. And what I was going to say is, though, a lot of people are concerned that there aren't a lot of commitments yet, and Miami's not that high in the recruiting rankings because of it. If you look historically at Mario Cristobal's recruiting at Oregon the last few years, he never took a lot of commitments early. He likes to put out offers, and he likes to do proper evaluations and make sure that he's taking the right kids. So, I think that is what we are seeing in motion right now. And I wouldn't be overly concerned that there aren't many commitments yet.
Yeah, I agree. The bottom line is we're going to have to wait and see. I think a lot of these kids will decide before the season. It's weird now, right? They either want to decide before the season or wait till signing day. And they all are taking visits in June, and it's going to be really interesting to see who winds up going where and when, and who sticks with where. Because with NIL deals, even commitment, listen, I know you can't give a high school kid an NIL deal, but anybody who thinks colleges aren't having these guys, these random, boosters, variants, whatever you want to call them, going around throwing offers to high school kids to try to get them to switch if they go somewhere else as a commitment, you're living on another planet. So it's going to be a crazy July, and then again in December to see what happens with some of these kids.
So the coaches are going to be finishing up spring recruiting here, their evaluation periods. A lot of that is centered towards 2024, 2025. That's why you're seeing a lot of 2024, 2025 offers going out. But I think that in the month of June, the focus is going to turn back to a lot of 2023, and you're going to see a lot of visits and things like that in the month of June. And then it's going to start coming more into focus. Who's going to be Miami Hurricanes? Who's not? And just because he's rated a 5-star, don't judge the recruiting on Brandon Innes, okay? Brandon Innes has made it pretty clear from the beginning by his early commitment to Oklahoma that he wants to leave town for college. It's like, okay, yes, he happens to be rated a 5-star, but there are other great receivers in this class, like Hakeem Williams, Jaylen Brown, Robbie Washington. I mean, any of those kids are just as good as Brandon Innes or better. So this is not like that's the other thing I'd like to see is people stop panicking about Brandon Innes because he's just not in the picture for Miami the way some people would like to see.
Yeah, but I mean, with that said, I get it because you want to keep the heritage kids home. You want to start that trend of keeping all the top kids you want home to stay home. It doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. This is Mario Cristobal's had the job for 6 months. This isn't something you snap your fingers and all of a sudden every top kid wants to be here. We've had so many different coaching changes since 2002, 2003 here, and they've had the same issues every single time they started. This is going to be a situation where he has to prove it to the local top kids. And once he proves it to them that this is the real deal, they'll succeed here, they'll be high NFL draft picks, they can stay home and play in front of their family. Once he proves it, they'll all stay here. But it's going to take time.
All right, we got a few recruiting stories that we want to talk about today. But first,
I'm Angela Green, and I am Life Wallet.
Since I've had Life Wallet, I have felt more secure to play.
To protect you and your family, download Life Wallet now.
love those volleyball girls. I saw them at the big event on last Friday night, and they were there with all the other Life Wallet NIL athletes, and they're pretty cool. Like, you can just see they're fun. They're fun, and they're having a good time with all this. And I love that scream, yeah. It's like, it's, I don't know. It's nice to have different sports represented in the commercials. All right, so Matt, let's talk about some of these recruiting stories. We catch up with the O-line target, Jonathan Klein, talks about how much love that the Canes are showing him, and that's helped give Miami a really good chance. So check that story out today. We have another update with defensive lineman Andrew Rumpf. He's got a Cane offer. He has set up a Miami visit that he'll take May 21st with his parents. Okay, that is a big deal when they come with their parents. That means they're serious. So find out where things stand with him. And also news from yesterday that we're reporting on, there's a transfer wide receiver. We've been talking about improving the receiver room, trying to find a number one guy. Okay. They are actively recruiting. Central Florida's Jalen Robinson. He will be taking an official visit to Miami from Wednesday to Friday of this week. So that's a significant development in recruiting. If history serves itself, he is going to be a Miami commitment by Friday. They have been locking in these transfers, and they've been doing a great job of recruiting them. And I would expect Jalen Robinson to announce by the end of the week that he wants to be, or is going to be, a Miami Hurricane.
He's announcing. Yeah, he's announcing May 18th.
Okay, then I guess he won't announce Friday. I forgot about that. But the point I'm making is I think he's going to go to Miami. I think that if you look at the track record of recruiting these transfers and how well they've done with it, there's a high likelihood that Jalen Robinson will be that receiver that we've been talking about. Now, is he a true number one receiver? That's something that we're going to have to take a look at moving forward. If he does show that he's going to commit to Miami, we will take a look at that and see, is he better than the other guys in the room? The important thing, I think, in all this is they don't need just another guy. Like, they got plenty of bodies at receiver. They need a difference-making guy, a guy that elevates the ability level in the room, that gives Tyler Van Dyke a home run threat. And, we're going to have to study him a little bit more before we can give you our opinion on it. Have not watched a ton of film on Jalen Robinson. But obviously the fact that he's visiting Wednesday to Friday, I think is an indication that Mario Cristobal and Josh Gaddis and the coaching staff are very serious about him. And if they're very serious about him, I think we can assume that they think he's a difference maker, Matt, because they're not looking just for anybody here.
Yeah, and he's got an interesting connection. He grew up not far from Charleston Rambo, worked out with Rambo in high school. They both wound up signing with Oklahoma a year apart. And then, of course, he transferred to UCF. He's he's not Charleston Rambo. I mean, he's a smaller guy. UCF listed him at, I think, 5'9", 180. Fast guy. He can play inside. He can play outside. He likes to, jet sweep type guy. So just a real playmaker all the way around. It's interesting because I think if Miami had its choice, they want one of those Rambo types because they're sort of missing that tall, dominating, fast receiver. But those guys don't grow on trees. I mean, you got to take what you can get, and this is a veteran difference maker. So I don't see, I could see him coming in and making a real impact right away. I think it'd be a great addition. I do think there's a really good chance. there's been some talk that he's really going to wind up in the SEC. But again, Miami gets his last visit. This is it. I mean, this visit will tell the story. He's already impressed. He's already impressed with Josh Gaddis. He mentioned to me the Jalen Waddle connection. So I think if they can convince him somehow, they could be the next Jalen Waddle for Tyler Van Dyke. I don't see how he doesn't come here. And he brought up with me the three important things to him. The first one was the quarterback, and he said Miami has that. Second thing was how it'd be used and running jet sweeps inside outside, which Miami will do. The third thing he said was NIL. And so, of course, being a reporter, I had to sort of ask something. So I said, you're already in college, you can get NIL deals. Have any schools offered you NIL deals yet? And he said, I don't want to talk about that right now, which means yes. So basically, it's going to be what I've already been talking about. It's going to be a bidding war and combination of bidding war / where he thinks he'll do the best and where he can come in and play. And I do think at the end of the day, as long as Miami has a competitive NIL deal for him, I don't see why he wouldn't come here. It's a great
Miami.
It's a great situation for him.
Miami won't have a competitive NIL deal. John Ruiz might have a competitive NIL deal.
That's what I meant.
Can't screw that up.
Good point. You can't say Miami.
We got to keep our facts straight.
Yeah, you can't say Miami.
Yeah.
You just saved me having to self-report myself to the NCAA.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you guys, as always, for joining us, and hope you have a great day. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Furman. We'll see you next time, everybody.